In the sultry haze of New Orleans' French Quarter, Chez Dupre looms like a ghost of grandeur, its chipped paint and creaking shutters hiding a legacy as spicy as its gumbo. This Creole restaurant, once the heartbeat of jazz and jambalaya, was Uncle Leon's kingdom, but its foundation is steeped in scandal. Long ago, Leon's father, a slick-talking opportunist, built its fame by swiping recipes from black cooks in the Ninth Ward, pocketing their genius while they got nothing but silence. The Dupre family reaped wealth, but the cost was a fractured legacy, one that Amara Dupre, now 34, carries like a weight on her shoulders. Hey, you still with me, friend? Bet you didn't see that twist coming. This story's just heating up, so stick around for the drama, betrayal, and a comeback that'll leave you hungry for more. Hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and drop a comment. Tell me, what would you do with a family secret this juicy? Thanks for watching. Let's dive back in. Amara, with sweat on her brow and flour on her hands, is the restaurant's last hope. 6 months after Leon's death, she battles to keep Chez Dupre alive, her night spent stirring roux in a kitchen thick with the ghosts of cayenne and regret. The place is crumbling, debt-sore, the roof sags, and the crowds have vanished like mist off the Mississippi. Yet Amara holds fast, not just for Leon but for the community that clings to Chez Dupre as a slice of untarnished New Orleans. Her twin sister, Celeste, has no such devotion. Holed up in Baton Rouge, Celeste sweeps in only to judge, her polished heels clicking against Amara's worn-out dreams. The sisters, once two halves of a whole, now stand worlds apart. Celeste views the restaurant as a sinking ship, its shady past a reason to sell and run. Amara, though, feels a duty to make things right, believing the recipes, stolen or not, belong to the city's soul. As Amara scrubs pots under flickering lights, she's blind to Celeste's scheme to cash out the restaurant's heart, a betrayal that will force her to face their family's sins and fight for what's hers. The French Quarter pulses under a bruised April sky, its narrow streets a symphony of clinking glasses, hoofbeats from horse-drawn carriages, and the soulful cry of a saxophone weaving through the humid air. At its heart stands Chez Dupre, a Creole institution where the sin of simmering gumbo clings to the walls like a lover's perfume. Once a beacon of New Orleans' culinary soul, the restaurant now teeters on the edge of ruin, its neon sign stuttering, its shutters sagging like weary eyelids. Inside, Amara Dupre, 34, fights a losing battle to keep her Uncle Leon's legacy alive, her hands scarred from hot pans, her dark curls perpetually flecked with flour. 6 months ago, Leon's heart gave out mid-shift, his laughter silenced as he crumpled behind the bar during a packed dinner service. The loss gutted Amara, who'd grown up in Chez Dupre's kitchen, her childhood a blur of peeling shrimp, sneaking beignets, and memorizing Leon's recipes by heart. His death left the restaurant to Amara and her twin sister, Celeste, but Celeste, with her Baton Rouge condo and corporate polish, abandoned the fight to Amara. Now, Amara is a one-woman army, her life consumed by 16-hour days that blur into sleepless nights, her body aching but her spirit tethered to a promise, to save Chez Dupre, no matter the cost. The restaurant is a financial sinkhole, bleeding money faster than a summer storm floods the levees. Suppliers, once lenient for Leon's charm, now demand cash up front for sacks of crawfish and links of andouille, their voices sharp over crackling phone lines. The roof leaks with every rain, forcing Amara to scatter dented buckets across the dining room, their drip-drip a mocking metronome. The worst blow is the customers, or lack thereof. Where lines once snaked around the block for Leon's gumbo, now only a handful of tables are filled, mostly old-timers nursing coffee or tourists chasing authentic Creole on a budget. Corporate chains on Canal Street, with their glossy menus and air-conditioned patios, have siphoned Chez Dupre's lifeblood, leaving Amara to face empty chairs that feel like personal betrayals. Amara's days begin at dawn, her sneakers pounding the sticky pavement as she hauls crates of okra and bell peppers from the French market, dodging street performers and early-rising drunks. By mid-morning, she's in the kitchen, her apron stained with roux, stirring a pot of étouffée while juggling calls from creditors who spit words like foreclosure and bankruptcy. Afternoons are a whirlwind of scrubbing counters, training a ragtag crew of underpaid cooks, most barely out of high school, and plastering on a smile for the few patrons who wander in. She charms old man Thibodeau, who tips in nickels but shares stories of Leon's Mardi Gras floats, and Miss Lorraine, the food critic whose glowing reviews once packed the place. Nights stretch past midnight, Amara alone in the cramped office, her cot creaking under a thin blanket, her phone glowing with unpaid bill alerts that buzz like mosquitoes. The restaurant isn't just a job, it's a cultural lifeline, one of the last black-owned businesses in a quarter increasingly swallowed by corporate greed. Chez Dupre is where locals gather for red beans on Mondays, where street musicians trade songs for plates of jambalaya, where the community holds tight to a New Orleans untainted by tourist traps. Amara feels this responsibility in her bones, each empty table a stab at her pride. She's driven by love for Leon. His memory lives in the way he'd dance with a dish rag or slip extra pralines to kids from the projects, but also by guilt. The restaurant's origins, tainted by her grandfather's theft of recipes from Ninth Ward cooks, haunt her. Amara dreams of making amends, perhaps by sharing the recipe's true story, but survival comes first, and survival is a grind. Celeste, her twin, is a phantom in this struggle. The sisters, once so close they'd braid each other's hair while giggling over stolen sweets, are now strangers. Celeste, with her tailored blazers and MBA, sees Chez Dupre as a relic, its controversial past a reason to cut ties. Her visits are rare, her presence marked by sharp texts that ping Amara's phone between shifts, modernize or sell. You're drowning in nostalgia. Amara reads them in the kitchen's dim light, her heart twisting. She wants to believe Celeste values their shared history, nights spent sneaking into Leon's office to borrow his recipe book, laughing until they cried. But Celeste's silence, her absence, tells a different story, one Amara is too exhausted to confront. Amara's sacrifices are total. Her social life is a memory, her savings drained into the restaurant's debts, her health fraying, her back aches from hauling crates, her hands tremble from too much coffee. Yet the community keeps her going. Miss Lorraine's warm hugs, the musicians' impromptu serenades, the kids who peek through the window, drawn by the smell of frying beignet. They remind Amara why she fights, even as her body begs for rest. She doesn't see Celeste's betrayal brewing, doesn't know her sister has photographed the recipe book, Leon's handwritten treasure, framed on the wall, and is plotting to sell it to a corporate chain. Amara's too deep in the grind, her New Orleans instincts dulled by exhaustion, but the city's lessons, jazz's improvisation, the street's survival, lie dormant, ready to spark when the truth hits. As Amara locks up one night, the quarter's neon casting long shadows, she pauses by the recipe book, its leather cover worn from Leon's touch. She traces its edges, unaware of Celeste's digital fingerprints on its pages. The restaurant creaks around her, a ship barely afloat, but Amara's resolve holds. She's not just fighting for Chez Dupre, she's fighting for herself, for Leon, for a city that refuses to bow. The storm is coming, and Amara, though weary, is tougher than she knows. The air in Chez Dupre is heavy with the promise of rain, the kind that turns New Orleans streets into rivers and sends tourists scurrying for cover. It's a rare busy evening, the dining room humming with a dozen patrons, a small victory for Amara Dupre, whose hands move like a jazz drummer's, flipping shrimp in a sizzling pan while her mind races to keep up. The restaurant's ancient computer, a relic from the early 2000s, chose tonight to sputter and die, leaving her without a way to print menus. Desperate, Amara ducks into the office, where Celeste's old laptop sits on a cluttered shelf, a forgotten remnant from her last visit. She powers it on, the screen flickering to life, and logs in with a guest account, her fingers trembling from exhaustion and too much chicory coffee. As the printer whirs, a notification pings, sharp and intrusive. An email, left open in the browser, glows on the screen. From Bayou Bites, a corporate chain with sterile outposts across the South, titled Recipe Book Offer, Final Terms. Amara's breath catches. Celeste hasn't mentioned Bayou Bites, hasn't mentioned anything beyond her usual texts about selling the restaurant. Curiosity, laced with a prickle of unease, pulls Amara's cursor to the email. She clicks, and the words hit like a punch to the gut. The email lays out a deal, cold and calculated. Celeste is negotiating to sell Chez Dupre's recipe book, Uncle Leon's handwritten collection of Creole dishes, the soul of the restaurant, for $200,000 to Bayou Bites. The chain plans to mass-produce the recipes, slapping Leon's gumbo and jambalaya on frozen food aisles from Miami to Memphis. The contract includes a non-disclosure clause and a chilling promise to phase out the original Chez Dupre, effectively erasing it to eliminate competition. Attached is a scanned page of the recipe book, Leon's looping handwriting unmistakable, its margins dotted with his quirky notes. More time, less ego. Amara's heart lurches. Celeste must have photographed it during her last visit, when she lingered by the framed book, claiming nostalgia. Amara's hands shake, the office's dim light casting shadows on her face. The recipe book isn't just a collection of dishes, it's Leon's legacy, entrusted to both sisters but placed in Amara's care. Leon had made her swear to protect it, his voice gruff with love. This book's our heart, Mara. Keep it beating. Celeste knew this, knew the book was sacred, yet here she is, selling it to a soulless corporation that would dilute their family's Creole soul into microwave dinners. Worse, the deal would get Chez Dupre's uniqueness, leaving Amara with a failing restaurant stripped of its identity, its customers lured to Bayou by its shiny franchises. Reeling, Amara digs deeper. The laptop's browser history reveals encrypted cloud links where Celeste has stored contract drafts, each file timestamped late at night, when Amara was scrubbing pots or sleeping on her cot. She finds a folder labeled Dupre Deal, stuffed with emails and spreadsheets detailing the sale. One document catches her eye, a legal memo where Celeste argues she's the sole competent owner of the recipe book, claiming Amara's mismanagement of Chez Dupre, its debts, its leaks prove she's unfit to steward the family legacy. The lie stings like a slap, twisting the knife of betrayal deeper. Celeste isn't just selling the recipes, she's rewriting their story to erase Amara's sacrifices. Amara's mind flashes to their childhood, to nights when she and Celeste would sneak into Leon's office, giggling as they paged through the recipe book, smudging its edges with praline crumbs. They'd been inseparable then, twins who shared secrets and dreams. Now, Celeste's betrayal feels like a theft of that bond, a violation of the trust Amara clung to through every grueling shift. She checks Celeste's social media on the laptop. Her sister's posts a parade of new designer bags and glossy selfies, timestamped days after Bayou Bites sent in advance. The money's already burning a hole in Celeste's pocket, while Amara scrapes by on instant noodles. The restaurant sounds, clinking plates, a patron's laugh filter through the office door, grounding Amara. She's drowning in hurt, rage simmering like a pot left too long on the stove, but she's not broken. New Orleans raised her, its jazz teaching her to riff through chaos, its streets schooling her to watch her back. Celeste thinks Amara's too buried in work to notice, too sentimental to fight. She's wrong. Amara closes the laptop, her jaw tight, and slips back to the kitchen, playing the part of the oblivious sister. But her mind is racing, piecing together a plan. She'll let Celeste think she's won for now. The recipe book, the restaurant, her city, they're worth fighting for, and Amara's fight is just beginning. In the days following Celeste's betrayal, Chez Dupre feels like a battlefield, its creaking floors and flickering lights a backdrop to Amara Dupre's silent war. The New Orleans air is thick with the threat of spring storms, the quarter's neon signs buzzing louder as if sensing the tension. Amara moves through her grueling routine, chopping onions, soothing suppliers, serving gumbo to the sparse crowd, but her mind is a hurricane, churning with rage and resolve. Celeste's plan to sell the recipe book to Bayou Bites isn't just a theft. It's an attack on Leon's legacy, the community's heart, and Amara's very identity. She won't let it happen. But she plays her part, texting Celeste with forced cheer, feigning ignorance while her New Orleans instincts, honed by Jazz's improvisation and the street's cunning, sharpen for the fight. Amara's first move is to secure evidence, her hands steady despite the fire in her chest. Late at night, after the last patron leaves, she reopens Celeste's laptop, the office lit only by a flickering desk lamp. She screenshots the Bayou Bites email, its cold terms searing into her memory, and downloads every contract draft from the encrypted cloud links, each file a brick in her case. She transfers them to a USB drive, small enough to hide in a jar of cayenne tucked behind the kitchen spice rack, its fiery contents a fitting guardian. Digging deeper, she finds a text thread between Celeste and a lawyer, unearthed from the laptop's messaging app. The messages are damning. Celeste plans to claim sole ownership of the recipe book by arguing Amara's mismanagement of Chez Dupre, its debts, its leaks, makes her unfit. Amara's jaw clenches. Celeste's not just betraying her, she's weaponizing Amara's sacrifices to steal what's hers. To bolster her plan, Amara taps into the quarter's pulse, knowing her community is her greatest weapon. She visits Miss Lorraine, the food critic whose love for Chez Dupre runs as deep as the Mississippi. Over chicory coffee at a corner cafe, the air thick with beignet sugar, Amara shares just enough. A corporate chain is eyeing the restaurant's recipes, threatening its soul. She doesn't name Celeste, not yet. Timing is everything. Lorraine's eyes flash with indignation, her fingers itching for her phone, where her 50,000 followers hang on her every post. They won't touch Leon's legacy, she vows, and Amara nods, planting the seed. Lorraine's influence will be her ace, but she needs to play it at the right moment. Back at Chez Dupre, Amara digs into the recipe book's legal status, her exhaustion pushed aside by adrenaline. She pores over Leon's will, a yellow document kept in a locked drawer, its pages smelling of old ink and bourbon. The restaurant was left to both sisters, but the recipe book is listed as a personal gift to Amara, a detail Celeste is exploiting by claiming it's restaurant property. Amara consults a pro bono lawyer, a friend of old man Thibodeau, meeting him in a cramped office above a jazz club, the bass notes vibrating through the walls. He confirms the book's status but warns that Celeste's legal memo could muddy the waters. Amara's not deterred. She's not fighting for a courtroom victory, she's fighting for the restaurant's soul, and that battle requires a bolder strategy. Her masterstroke is born in the dead of night, as rain lashes the quarter and Chez Dupre's roof leaks into its buckets. Amara sits at the office desk, the recipe book open before her, its pages a map of Leon's love. If Bayou Bites wants the recipes, she'll make them worthless, not by hiding them, but by giving them away. She begins digitizing every dish, gumbo, jambalaya, red beans and rice, her fingers flying over the laptop as she types Leon's notes, his quirky asides preserved like lyrics. She builds a website, simple but heartfelt, designed as a love letter to New Orleans. Old photos of Chez Dupre's glory days, Leon laughing with patrons, Mardi Gras crowds spilling onto the street, fill the pages, alongside stories of the restaurant's role as a community hub. She uploads the recipes under a Creative Commons license, crediting Leon, ensuring they're free for every home cook. The site isn't live yet, she's waiting for the perfect stage. Amara's plan hinges on timing and deception. She needs Celeste to believe she's oblivious, vulnerable, ready to surrender. She crafts a text, her words careful, thinking about selling Chez Dupre. Can you come for a reopening event? Need your advice. Celeste's reply is swift, smug, about time. I'll be there. Amara smirks, the first spark of triumph in days. She spends the next week rallying allies, her movements cloaked in the restaurant's chaos. She invites local chefs, who despise corporate chains, to the event, promising a night of Creole pride. She enlists street musicians to perform, their loyalty to Chez Dupre sealed with plates of étouffée. She loops in Miss Lorraine, hinting at a big reveal that'll shake the quarter. The event, billed as a last-ditch effort to save the restaurant, is a trap, and Celeste is walking right into it. As the event nears, Amara's resolve hardens. The quarter's energy fuels her, its street vendors hawking pralines, its air thick with jazz and rain. She's not just fighting for Chez Dupre, she's fighting for the Ninth Ward cooks whose recipes were stolen, for Leon's memory, for her own bruised heart. Celeste thinks she's outsmarted her, but Amara's New Orleans roots run deep. She's learned to play the long game, to let the rhythm build before the crescendo. The recipe book, glowing under its frame, is her weapon, and the community is her army. The stage is set, and Amara's ready to turn Celeste's betrayal into her own victory. The night of the reopening event transforms Chez Dupre into a vibrant stage, its weathered walls aglow with string lights that flicker like fireflies against the New Orleans dusk. The French Quarter hums outside, its streets alive with the clatter of beads and the wail of a trumpet. But inside, the restaurant is a sanctuary of Creole pride. Tables are packed with locals, cooks, musicians, shopkeepers, mingling with loyal patrons like old man Thibodeau, whose grin is as wide as the Mississippi. The air is thick with the aroma of Amara's crawfish étouffée, its spicy warmth curling through the room like a promise. Street musicians, repaid with plates of gumbo, weave through the crowd, their banjo and saxophone riffs lifting spirits. Amara Dupre, 34, moves with quiet purpose, her apron swapped for a simple black dress, her dark curls loose for the first time in months. To the crowd, she's the heart of Chez Dupre, but tonight, she's a general ready to win a war. Celeste arrives, her tailored blazer and heels a stark contrast to the quarter's easy chaos. Her smile is polished, her eyes gleaming with the confidence of someone who thinks she's already won. She believes Amara's text about selling the restaurant signals defeat, that her $200,000 Bayou Bites deal for the recipe book is safe. She mingles, sipping a Sazerac, unaware she's stepped into Amara's trap. Amara watches from the sidelines, her heart pounding but her face serene. The crowd, local chefs, Miss Lorraine with her phone at the ready, the community that's carried Chez Dupre through its darkest days, is her army, and the stage is set for a reckoning. As the music fades, Amara steps onto a small platform, a microphone in hand, the recipe book framed behind her like a sacred relic. The room quiets, eyes fixed on her. She begins with gratitude, her voice steady but warm, thanking the community for keeping Chez Dupre alive. She speaks of Leon, his laughter, his love for New Orleans, and the recipes that made the restaurant a cultural cornerstone. Then, her tone shifts, a spark of defiance in her eyes. Some folks think these recipes belong in a corporate freezer, she says, pausing as murmurs ripple through the crowd. But I say they belong to you, to every home cook, every family, every soul in this city. She announces her masterstroke. She's released Chez Dupre's recipes online, free for all, under a Creative Commons license, crediting Uncle Leon. The website, a digital love letter to New Orleans, is live, its pages filled with Leon's dishes in the restaurant's history. The crowd erupts in cheers, glasses raised, musicians striking up a triumphant chord. Celeste's face drains of color, her sazerac trembling in her hand. She knows the Bayou Bites deal is dead. Why pay for recipes now freely available? Amara doesn't stop there. She turns to a screen, projecting the Bayou Bites email, its cold terms laid bare. Celeste planned to sell the recipe book and phase out Chez Dupre. Gasps ripple through the room, followed by boos. Miss Lorraine's fingers fly across her phone. Her tweet, Chez Dupre saves Creole soul from Bayou Bites greed, going viral within minutes, racking up thousands of retweets. Celeste stammers, her polished facade cracking, but the crowd's loyalty is Amara's. Local chefs shout support, patrons chant Chez Dupre, and Celeste, cornered by the community's wrath, can only shrink into the shadows. The event's energy carries into the night, the restaurant alive with laughter and music, a defiant middle finger to corporate greed. In the aftermath, Amara's website explodes, drawing tens of thousands of visitors who download Leon's recipes and share stories of Chez Dupre. A crowdfunding campaign, sparked by Lorraine's followers, raises $150,000 to renovate the restaurant, new roof, new floors, a kitchen that doesn't fight back. Local chefs collaborate, offering guest menus that pack the tables. Chez Dupre becomes a cultural hub, hosting cooking classes for kids from the projects and jazz nights that spill onto the street, the quarter reclaiming its soul. Financially secure, Amara hires a manager, freeing her to cook, create, and breathe again, her hands no longer trembling from exhaustion. Emotionally, Amara finds a deeper victory. After the event, she pulls Celeste into the office, the recipe book glowing under its frame. Celeste, humiliated, expects a fight, but Amara's calm is disarming. She hands her sister a printed recipe for Leon's gumbo, her voice soft but firm. You wanted the family legacy. Here it is. Free. The gesture is both mercy and judgment, stripping Celeste of power without a shout. Celeste leaves, her heels echoing in the empty street, her defeat absolute. Amara stands alone, the weight of betrayal lifting. She realizes she doesn't need Celeste's approval, doesn't need to carry their family's sins. She's honored Leon, the Ninth Ward cooks, and herself, rewriting their story with every dish she serves. The victory isn't just personal, it's communal. Chez Dupre's revival sparks a movement, with locals rallying to protect other Black-owned businesses in the quarter. Amara, once a solitary warrior, is now a leader, her name whispered with pride in markets and jazz clubs. She walks the restaurant's floors, no longer creaking, and feels Leon's presence, not in the recipes, but in the love that fills the room. The French Quarter, with its neon and chaos, is her home, and Chez Dupre is its heart, beating stronger than ever. A year after the reopening event, Chez Dupre stands as a beacon in the French Quarter, its freshly painted shutters gleaming under the New Orleans sun. The neon sign no longer flickers, its bold letters a proud declaration of survival. Inside, the restaurant thrums with life, every table filled with laughter, clinking glasses, and the soulful strum of a guitar from a street musician who's become a regular. The air carries the scent of Amara Dupre's gumbo, its rich, spicy warmth weaving through the room like a love song to the city. Amara, now 35, moves through the kitchen with a quiet grace, her hands steady, her dark curls free of flour. She's no longer the exhausted warrior of a year ago. She's a local hero, her name synonymous with Chez Dupre's rebirth. The restaurant is more than a business. It's a cultural cornerstone, a testament to what community can do. The crowdfunding campaign that followed Amara's viral website launch didn't just fix the roof and floors, it transformed Chez Dupre into a hub of Creole pride. The dining room, once dotted with leaky buckets, now boasts polished wood and framed photos of Leon's glory days, alongside new images. Kids learning to cook, jazz nights spilling onto the street, Amara laughing with patrons. Cooking classes for Ninth Ward youth, funded by local donations, pack the kitchen on weekends, their chatter mingling with the sizzle of andouille. Jazz nights, hosted twice a week, draw crowds that dance under string lights, the quarter's pulse beating in time. Collaborations with local chefs have birthed new dishes, crab beignet, shrimp remoulade tacos, that honor Leon's recipes while embracing the city's evolving soul. Amara's life has changed, too. Financially secure, she's hired a manager, a sharp-eyed woman named Delphine who keeps the books balanced and the staff humming. This freedom lets Amara rediscover her love for cooking, her evenings spent experimenting with new roux or perfecting Leon's pralines, her hands no longer trembling from endless shifts. She's saved enough to rent a small apartment nearby, trading her office cot for a real bed, though she still lingers at Chez Dupre late, the kitchen her true home. Her health has rebounded, no more backaches from hauling crates, no more coffee-fueled jitters. She's even started running along the Mississippi at dawn, the river's calm a mirror to her newfound peace. Emotionally, Amara has found clarity. Celeste's absence is a faint ache, like a bruise that's nearly faded. After their confrontation, Celeste vanished from New Orleans, her social media silent, her Baton Rouge life a mystery. Amara doesn't dwell on it. Handing Celeste that gumbo recipe was her final act of closure, a way to release the betrayal without letting it define her. She's learned she doesn't need her sister's validation to honor their family, or to redefine it. The Dupre legacy, once tainted by her grandfather's theft, has been reshaped by Amara's hands. She's made amends for those stolen Ninth Ward recipes, not just by sharing them freely but by uplifting the community they came from. Her cooking class is a quiet tribute to those forgotten cooks. The recipe book, still framed on the wall, is a relic now, its power not in its pages but in what Amara did with them. One evening, as she stirs a pot of gumbo, a young cook, barely 16, with eyes full of dreams, asks about it. Amara pauses, the ladle still, and smiles. "It's not about the recipes," she says, her voice soft but sure. "It's about what you do with them." The girl nods, scribbling a note, and Amara feels a spark of pride. She's passing on more than dishes, she's passing on resilience, community, the New Orleans way of turning pain into beauty. Chez Dupre's revival has rippled beyond its walls. The quarter buzzes with renewed energy, locals rallying to protect other Black-owned businesses, inspired by Amara's stand against Bayou Bites. Miss Lorraine's columns now champion these spots, her followers flocking to dives and delis that carry the city's soul. Amara's name is whispered with reverence in markets, jazz clubs, even church pews, her story a modern legend. She's no longer alone. Chefs drop by to swap recipes, kids tug her sleeve for stories, old man Thibodeau toasts her with coffee. The community that saved her now sees her as its heart, a woman who turned betrayal into triumph. Amara steps outside one night, the quarter alive with neon and laughter. The Mississippi glints under the moon, its current steady, like her resolve. She thinks of Leon, his dish rag dances, his voice urging her to keep the restaurant's heart beating. She feels him here, not in the gumbo but in the love that fills Chez Dupre, the clatter of plates, the strum of a guitar, the chatter of kids dreaming big. She thinks of the Ninth Ward cooks, their legacy alive in every free recipe downloaded, every class she teaches. She thinks of herself, no longer carrying her family's sins but building a new story, one dish at a time. Standing under the restaurant's sign, Amara knows she's exactly where she belongs. The French Quarter, with its chaos and charm, is her home, and Chez Dupre is its pulse, stronger than ever. She turns back inside, the door swinging shut, ready to cook another night, to keep the fire alive.